How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Super Tea Podcast Show. Ah, whew. Ah, Please excuse the yawns. Mama's been working, and working. It's like the end of my semester was just not the end of everything. It was, it's good. It's good. It's a good run there. I'm in this amazing cohort with some amazing people, and I got work cut out for me. I got work cut out for me with my cafe. I've already started. The momentum is there, so I'm in that flow of renewal. We know we're in this full moon energy still, and I am so grateful, so grateful, so grateful, so grateful because I had tasks, I had physical tasks that I was hoping and wishing that on top of these two extra hands, I would have some extra hands, and I would have. I have a wonderful, amazing son who would have gladly came and helped me do the things, the physical things that I needed done, um, and I'm quite sure I will utilize him as I do other stuff. However, it was such short notice, and the way it came to me, just how I started, it was short notice. It was like, okay, I would come into my office space, slash studio space, slash workout area, which is not predominantly a workout area anymore, although I have more room to get on this floor now. So I might move my stuff from the living room here. I haven't made a final decision yet. Um, but yeah, I would come in here, I would do my shows, I would do my cohort, which is on a Thursday, and I get the heck up out of Dodge. I'd be like, okay, I don't know when or how, I don't know when or how, I don't know when or how, but I'm gonna do it. It's gonna get done. It's gonna get done. It's gonna get done. And then ta-da! It was full moon time. And I mean, when I tell you it was full moon time, it was full moon time. I have such a beautiful scenery and I could see it. I could see it. And I just stopped. And it was right after my cohort. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to need your help. I'm going to need your help. You be pulling tides of the oceans and all this other stuff. I'm what, 70% water? I'm going to need your help, Moon. I'm going to need your help. I'm going to need your help. And so ask and you shall receive. I had the energy to do it, and I did it bit by bit. And, I tossed out a bunch of stuff. There's still a lot of stuff to be tossed out, but I filled up some garbage bags and stuff. And it felt good to fill it up and to get rid of it. It allows me space for the newness that's coming into my life. And I'm grateful for it. And I'm grateful. I haven't registered for the fall yet because I'm still on the fence on where I want to go. However, being the true Taurian I have, trusting, not trusting, appreciating, appreciating loyalty as a true Taurian I have, I almost feel compelled to go to a local school. Number one, the local school is active in the community, with free resources and free programs and um, artist hubs. You know, like it's a lot of good opportunities and a lot of good things they do. And I experienced it. I didn't hear about it. I experienced it. And it's still open for experience. And I connected my family and loved ones to it too. So, there's a artist hub, and my relatives, my son is an artist too, and he would go to this hub. This was a safe space for him to go. He'd bring his girlfriend there. It was I feel like I have to like I have to say I appreciate what you're doing, and here I am to plug in and find out more about you. I already know that their gym is off the wall. I already know that they're fucking, I believe they have a whole Olympic sized pool. So yeah, screw you, PF. PF is Planet Fitness. Screw y'all. I'm about to have access to an even better facility for my legs. And as much as I wanted to stay consistent with the gym, and I was being consistent with the gym until they tried to fucking get extra money from a sister, that's when it got a little odd. It was like, oh, you want to come here? You have to pay this old, what you call it. But they clear. It's interesting how they cleared it out when they canceled my membership. Like, you could have been cleared it out, but my light was too bright, and it was too bright for that particular thing. It's not the space for me. It's a decent space. They got good equipment, but the people that come in and out of there, not all of them, because it's all types of people that come in and out of there. But some of the people that come in and out of there, they see a pretty face, they see a curvy body, and in their minds, they feel they should have access, even if it's just a conversation. And in my mind, I'm coming here to work these legs, sit in this massage chair, get the heck up out of here. I ain't coming here to make no friends. I'll be friendly with the staff. I'll be respectful as I'm waiting on a machine or somebody else is waiting on a machine. But that's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. So anyway, I just accepted it for what it is. I'm at a point in my life and I love it. I really love it. I might stay in this framework, even though I will grow and I will evolve and I will expand. That's inevitable, and I'm always learning. But I like this space where I am now, at where I really don't give two cents how somebody else feels about me. It may bother me if I care about a person a little bit. It may bother me a little bit, but it's not going to stay there because my self reflection, I do it daily, daily, most of the time, more than once a day. However, I'm feeling, I acknowledge it, I deal with it, and I process and I regulate my emotions. I'm like, if I feel bothered, why you feel bothered, girl? Is it justified? Is the situation justified? Okay, even if it's not. Okay, you feel this way. Why? I question myself. Why I feel anything that I feel. I check myself on a regular basis. I encourage everyone to do the same. Because afterwards, you just keep on going. Life just keeps on moving forward. It's a beautiful thing. So, anyway, yeah. I'm probably going to go to the school I've been telling people I'm going to, those who are close to me, and knock out this BAMA and maybe even knock out the PhD there. I could do all three there. And I mean, ideally, to stay put as I get my degrees, as my business grows and operates, ideally, that sounds like a good idea. Especially since there's a buzz about me. In the political field, there's a buzz about me. I think that's funny as hell. Like, I can't escape it. Everywhere I go, politics is like, hey. I be like, I don't want to do it. They be like, yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. We need good people like you. I'd be like, God damn. I always feel like a motherfucker trying to recruit a sister. Anyway, it's Soulful Sundays. And we didn't come to chit chat about me and my life today. I got enough vlogs on here to do that, okay? I am on here today. As you see, I got some new microphones. I still got the old microphones though. These old microphones I'm keeping, okay? Because they just good like that. This is a blue, and it came with a stand. I don't know, again, I'm not supposed to be on here advertising, but as a singer and as a podcaster and as a vocalist, microphones are a thing for me, okay? So I'm just putting it out there, trying to impress us and stuff. This one goes up here. But the rubber band got a little, let's see if I can see it. Yeah, the rubber band got a little crusty. So I got to get a new rubber band. Put that one here. Okay, studio. This is the space I'm in. I'm in the studio space. So it looks and it feels as such. I'm gonna sit this upright. It deserves to be upright. It's good. Those microphones are really good. That microphone will last me probably 20 more motherfucking years. Oh my god, I just knocked all my pins over. This one, I don't know how long that one's gonna last. Because this one's brand new. And it has a little soundboard with it. And the soundboard has a whole bunch of sounds. Applause, and I could change the tonality of my voice if I want to. I could add some bass to it. I could do that naturally. I don't know why my lips gotta poke out like Shanae. I changed my voice. Ah, but yeah. Um, let's get into the book. Let's get into right where we left off at. You know, this is a big old book. We left off at chapter 2 on the back of a giant. I'm being mindful to not go over an hour for these episodes. All right. Chapter 2, we are in Dr. Joe Dispenza's Evolve Your Brain. The science of changing your mind. Science everything. So chapter 2 starts on the back of a giant. We must deliver ourselves with the help of our minds. Ooh. I'm going to read it 2 more times because I want y'all to hear each word. We must deliver ourselves with the helps of our minds. We must deliver ourselves with the helps of our minds, people. We are our saviors. For one who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. For one who has failed to conquer the mind will remain the greatest enemy. And that is out of the Bhagavad Gita. The, the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita. Ooh. They just had a week of Visak, international Visak. All the peace leaders, all the venerated monks. And I was invited. I didn't even know it was happening until it was happening. I was just there. It was digitally, of course, but still, consciously, nonetheless. And it felt good. I wish they chairs and stuff would be more comfortable, but that's neither here or there. Let's carry on. We've all heard the expression mind over matter. I have an art piece called that. Used in the context of a person overcoming an obstacle. Someone could easily use it in the context of my recovery from my accident. This is Dr. Joe still going on about his accident, which was discussed in chapter 1. Generally, we use that expression without giving it much thought. And you know what? I wanted to say something really quick because hearing and knowing about his experience has motivated me in a choice I've made for myself to opt out of surgery right now. And I know he started right away, and he started from a space of already being athletic and already moving. So the injury, his 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 recovery was very quick, even though his injuries were very serious. My recovery with my muscles from my accidents um, are not quick ones. However, with the steadiness, um, they are very, very, very likely. And just, I have improvements. Now, yes, I physically exerted myself over the weekend and I feel it. I absolutely feel it. And I'm listening to my body and I'm communicating with my body so I know what to do, keep my fluids in and, definitely nap and rest and let the body do what the body does. However, I'm just grateful to know that there are other options. And the more I become more aware of the other options and I get to share my experience, live, utilizing these platforms that I utilize, um, it's possible that I may encourage someone else. So yeah, our minds are our best friends once we conquer them, and that's a good parable right there. That's actual. Let's get back to the book. Generally, we use that expression without giving it much thought. It simply means that someone decided to do something and didn't let controversial thinking or obstacles get in the way of achieving the goal he or she had in mind. It truly involves will. You probably believe you are capable in some circumstances of using this force of mind to affect changes in the physical, mental, or emotional realms. For example, suppose that as a kid you had a fear of heights. You and your friends went on a camping trip, and near your campsite was a lake. Oh, excuse me. With a outcropping, rocky outcropping. Okay, I don't know what that is. I can visualize it, but okay. It's funny how I visualize something. I don't know what it is, right? I'm just thinking, ironically, on my computer screen, there's rock formations. I don't know whether they're over a lake or whether they're over the freaking ocean, but I would think for camping that that would be something similar, like just a rock formation. Guys want to see it? I would have to actually, I would just say cliff, but rocky out, whatever the hell he used. So see, I'm thinking something like that, right? Those are definitely rocks. Why would someone even consider them to be mountains? And somebody climbed these bitches. Not I. Not me. But somebody did. Anyway, everyone else having a good time jumping and diving off the bluff into the water. Oh yeah, he's a hiker. Like he has hiked up to these edges and jumped into the water. You were content to swim around enjoying the water's cooling effect until someone, likely one of your older friends or siblings, had to point out to everyone that you was the only one not to take the leap of faith. Even the youngest kid on the trip had taken the plunge, eventually goaded on by their teasing and to escape the constant splashing of water in your face. You climbed out of the water and made your shivering way up into the cliff. I guess it's not considered a cliff, it's considered an outcropping. cliff. The book says outcropping, though. The sun burning your shoulders, the wind chilling your skin into goose flesh. Goose flesh? What with the goosebumps? Okay. I did not author this book. I'm reading it to you guys. You stood blinking past the water dripping off your hair. All the while, your mind was racing, telling you, no way. Your teeth alternatively chattering and grinding against one another. You take a tentative step back from the edge. Yeah, it seems like a good idea. The hooting and catcalls intensify. Yeah, I don't give a fuck. I would have been. The fact that I'm in the lake swimming in the first place is good for me. I was never one of those kids. It's weird, right? I was never one of those kids that people could tease me into doing something. I had to want to do something to do it. Now, was I daredevilish? A little bit, because I would want to do daring things, but not like physically jump off of things daring, but on the monkey bars, perhaps flip, perhaps hang upside down, stuff like that. Ooh, I'm looking forward to being athletic again. Could you imagine being athletic for like the first decade of your life and then not being athletic because of serious injuries for like 30 years, and then as you are recovering, rejoining the athletic community. If you look at me, it looks like I never left, but the mobility and the functionality, whew, this time next year I could be taking what kind of classes are those where you are very limber. uh I can't think of it. Maybe pole classes. Maybe pole classes. But I make sure whatever class I go to, that pole is bolted in the ceiling and bolted into the floor. Anyway, back to the book. uh, but I'm pretty sure some other children can relate with this, especially if you had siblings, you know. Um, I guess that just was common. All right, excuse me. Okay, this young child that we're imagining that has climbed up this cliff that's called an outcropping. Um, the hooting and catcalls intensified. They look down, and the chief tormentor has turned into your cheerleader. His come on, no longer a taunt, but a mantra, fueled by a jolt of adrenaline that quivered your bladder and buckled your knees. You staggered out and away from the edge and into space, came up sputtering, and then whooped in triumph, knowing that something fundamental had changed inside of you. All the doubts and fears and uncertainties were left behind. This kind of reminds me of an experience I had on a water slide at Disney somewhere. That water slide was tall. But yes, now that, yeah, I did that myself because I wanted to do it. And it was so quick. It was so quick, and then I was just in the water like. But anyway, let's get back to the book. All the doubts and fears and uncertainties were left behind. They were back there on the flat rock, rapidly evaporating like your footprints. All the imagined horrors had dissipated, leaving a new, more positive reality in their place. I use this somewhat commonplace example on purpose. Literally and metaphorically, many people are crippled by something that prevents them from reaching the heights of their existence, something that keeps them from experiencing the freedom and exhilaration of a life unencumbered by fear or doubt. I'm sure that at some point in your life you had your own mind over matter experience. I've had several in my life, but none was as provocative as my healing from the injuries he sustained. in that triathlon. He'd always been interested in pushing himself and improving himself, and he'd always been fascinated by the potential of the human mind and the human body possessed. He was especially interested in what happened when mind and body truly worked in unison. Of course, he knew that mind and body weren't really separate, but he'd often wondered which of the two was really driving the so called bus. Which was really in control? Were we genetically predetermined to suffer from certain diseases and afflictions of the body and mind? Were we totally subject to the whims of our environment? No, no, no. An introduction to change. Once he experienced for himself the power of the mind and body working together, he wondered whether others had experienced something similar. He knew that many people had defied conventional medical wisdom before him, and he wanted to investigate the concept of healing more fully. He didn't have to wait very long to find suitable subjects for his informal study of the phenomenon. Dean, a wink and a nod. When he first saw Dean sitting in his waiting room, he smiled and winked at me. On his face, he had two tumors the size of very large lemons. One was under his chin on the right side, and the other growth was on his forehead on the left side. During my examination, Dean explained that he had leukemia. He asked them what medicines and therapies he used to keep the disease under control. None, never, he replied. He continued his examination, trying to focus on what he was doing, but wanting to ask him dozens of questions. He had healed from an injury, but this was clearly different. Leukemia, especially untreated acute, oh, I can't say this word, myo, it's a long word with the M. It's a special type of leukemia, was a debilitating and painful disease. It was not an injury the body could simply heal over time like a broken bone. The doctors who diagnosed Dean had given him 6 months to live. Right then, Dean said he had made himself a promise to see his son graduate from high school. The pivotal moment had occurred 25 years earlier. Now, beaming at him across the examination table, Dean announced that in a few months he was going to his youngest grandchild's high school commencement. He was amazed. After our first encounter, Dean returned to my office for a couple of follow up visits. One day after he finished treating him, he finally had to ask, "How did you do it? You should have been dead 24 years ago." But with no medications, no surgeries, no therapies, you still alive? What's the secret? Dean smiled broadly, leaned across the examining bench to bring his face close to mine, pointed to his forehead, and said, "You just have to make up your mind." He shook my hand firmly, turned to leave, and then gave me one more wink. Sheila, the past as precursor and curse. It's another person he examined. Sheila suffered from a host of debilitating symptoms, including nausea, fevers, constipation, and severe abdominal pain. Her doctor's diagnosis was chronic, oh, here's another big ass word with a D. I'm going to tell you what it is. It's a painful inflammation or infection in small pouches that develop in the intestines. Although Sheila received medical treatment, she continued to experience even more frequent acute episodes. One day, she learned about the connection between unhealthy emotions and physical ailments, and it prompted her to look at her life in a new way. Even as an adult in her 30s, Sheila considered herself a victim of her childhood. Her parents were divorced when she was young. She was raised by her mother, who worked a lot and left Sheila alone most of the time. Having grown up without most of the material possessions and social experiences that other children enjoyed, she felt cheated. When Sheila decided to pay attention to her emotions, she had to admit they qualified as unhealthy. Day in and day out for 20 years, she had been thinking and saying that because her childhood was tough, she could never do anything worthy or personally satisfying. She had constantly reminded herself that her existence was futile, that she could never change, that her parents were to blame for all of the misfortune in her life. Now the realization dawned on her that throughout most of her waking hours during all those years, her thoughts have been a repetitive litany of blame, excuses, and complaints. Since medical intervention had not provided a permanent cure, Sheila began to explore the possibility that the grudge she carried against her parents might directly relate to her disease. She became aware of all the people and situations in her life that allowed her to think and behave as a victim. And she recognized that she had been using these people and circumstances to excuse her own unwillingness to change. Gradually, by exercising consistent awareness and self will, Sheila surrendered her old thought pattern and the feelings connected to those repetitive, victimizing thoughts. She taught herself to give up the part of her identity that was related to negative thoughts about her childhood, and she forgave her parents. Sheila no longer had any reasons to suffer, and as a result, she became happy. Her symptoms began to ease. Within a short time, all the physical symptoms associated with her illness disappeared. Sheila had healed herself of a debilitating disease. More important, she also freed herself from the chains of her self imprisonment. A search for similarities. Over the last 7 years, he being Dr. Joe Dispenza, has been investigating cases of people who have experienced spontaneous remissions and healings from serious diseases. The information that he has collected and the stories these individuals shared during our interviews are truly amazing. They showed substantial clinical changes in health conditions like benign and malignant tumors, heart disease, diabetes, respiratory conditions, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, varicosities, that sounds like something with the veins, right? Thyroid conditions, dental problems, gum disease, poor vision, musculoskeletal pain, and rare genetic orders for whose medical science offered no solutions, to name a few. These men and women recovered when no conventional or alternative treatments had been effective in reversing their conditions. Each individual healed his or her own body. When he examined these case histories from a therapeutic standpoint, he couldn't find any common, consistent behavioral factor that could explain their recoveries. Various therapies they had tried had altered their conditions to some extent, but did not take them away completely. For example, some submitted to radiation or chemotherapy, but their cancer persisted or quickly returned. Others underwent routine or experimental surgery, which provided some relief of their symptoms but did not resolve their problems. Many had been on medications for years to treat conditions such as high blood pressure without experiencing significant or lasting changes. Some patients took part in clinical trials of experimental drugs, but this produced no healing. Vitamins or special dietary regimens did not restore their health. A few reported that fasting somewhat relieved their symptoms but yielded no permanent recovery. Alternative therapies had also failed. In some cases, counseling helped to reduce some of their stress but produced no cure. Many of the subjects had discontinued any therapies they were using when these proved ineffective. Some never sought medical or alternative intervention at all. What had these formerly ill persons done that resulted in the restoration of their health? After analyzing the information from his interviews, he suspected that from a scientific standpoint, These spontaneous healings were more than a fluke. If something happens one time, we call that an incident. If the same type of event takes place a second time for no apparent reason, we may label it a co-incident, second incident, or coincidence. A surprising occurrence of two events that seems to have happened by mere chance, but gives them the appearance of being casually related. But if the same type of event transpires a third, fourth, or even a fifth time, we must rule out the possibility of a coincidence. Something must be consistently happening to produce these reoccurrences. In light of such repetition, we can employ the reasoning that for every effect there must be a cause. Presuming that there might be a cause and effect relationship at work here, he wondered if the effect we're talking about is spontaneous restoration of health, what caused the physical changes in all these individuals? He started to speculate that since these subjects could not attribute their recoveries to any treatment or therapy directed or affecting the body, perhaps some internal process in the mind and brain had produced their clinical changes. Could the mind really be that powerful? Most doctors acknowledge that a person's attitude affects his or her ability to benefit from medical treatment. Could it be that for these people, healing their illnesses was solely a matter of changing their minds? He also contemplated whether a scientific, verifiable relationship existed between what was occurring consistently in these case histories in the human mind. If we apply the scientific method to evidence from cases such as these, might we discover some process that had occurred in the mind and therefore in the very tissues of the brain to produce these healings? Could we repeat that process to produce the same effects? Would studying spontaneous healings help us to uncover scientific laws that could explain the mind body connection? Intrigued by his exposure to the Ramtha School of Enlightenment, with the concept of mind over matter being its very credo, he used this line of questioning as a starting point in his endeavor to study spontaneous remissions and healings and their possible relationship to the function of the mind. He was predisposed to believe they were related, since he understood that it was truly quite possible that the mind could heal the body of any condition. As a matter of fact, some of the people that he interviewed over the years were RSE, that's the Ramatha School of Enlightenment, students who were taught how to heal their own bodies. At times, he found the healings difficult to accept. Yet, these types of incidences, coincidences, have been going on for as far back as history has been recorded. When such events happen in antiquity, explanation was usually rooted in a culture's religious beliefs. Whether we look to Christian scriptures, Buddhist texts, Islamic sacred writings, Egyptian tablets, or Judaic scrolls, many civilized cultures have believed in and reported on the spontaneous restoration of health. Throughout centuries past, when something happened that was outside the realm of that society's scientific understanding, people termed that event a miracle. A miracle, according to Webster's International Dictionary, is an effect or extraordinary event in the physical world that surpasses all known human or natural powers and is attributed to some supernatural cause. If we examine historical records, we see that events were described as miracles when they took place outside the boundaries of a culture's secular beliefs and beyond its social, scientific, or political conventions. Imagine that a man jumps out of an airplane. His parachute opens and he lands safely in a field. This would have seemed miraculous 2 centuries ago. Like other unfathomable events of the day, It would have been attributed to the action or intervention of a supernatural power, whether deity or demon. Fast forward to the present. A woman develops a terminal disease with a prognosis of 6 months to live. After 6 months, she returns to her doctor for a checkup. The doctor examines her and performs a series of diagnostic tests, including advanced imaging scans. To his surprise, no clinical objective signs of the disease persist. By all objective measures, the person has been cured. If we label this type of recovery as a miracle, we might miss a deeper truth. Once a society comprehends the causes, workings, and effects excuse me, of an event, it no longer gives the experience a supernatural context. Myth and folklore have always served this purpose. They offer an explanation of natural phenomena. Mhm. Every culture has had its own creation myth, for example, and many cultures, Christian and non Christian, tell a flood story as well. Today, we understand that our inability to explain an occurrence may be due to our own lack of knowledge, individually and as a culture. Many events we once considered miraculous, we now redefine as natural happenings. Is there a plausible explanation then for spontaneous healings? There is an interesting component to the miraculous. A person who pursues so called miraculous experiences or results, exploring ideas beyond society's current beliefs, might reasonably consider acting counter to medical, social, or even religious conventions. Imagine that a man is diagnosed with high blood pressure and elevated cholesterol. His allopathic conventional doctor gives him a prognosis and treatment plan, possibly including meditation, medications, dietary restrictions, and an exercise regimen, and a prescriptive set of do's and don'ts. If the client responds, "Thanks, doc, but I'll handle this on my own," the doctor would likely conclude that the patient is risking his health by not taking the standard route. Anyone who embraces the hope for a miraculous outcome in his life may have to storm the fortress of conventional beliefs and risk being considered misguided, irrational, fanatic, or even insane. But if there were a method to understanding the hows and whys of so called healing miracles, those who seek to experience them would no longer be deemed foolhardily or unstable. If we could access information on how to accomplish these feats and experience that knowledge for ourselves by practicing the scientific science involved, our efforts to produce miraculous results should meet not with resistance, but with support. The four pillars of healing. It became clear to me after years of interviewing people who had experienced spontaneous remissions and healings that most of these individuals had four specific qualities in common. They had experienced the same coincidences. Before he describes the four qualities common to these cases, he would like to note some of the factors that were not consistent among the people that he studied. Not all practiced the same religion. Several had no religious affiliation. Not many had a background as a priest, rabbi, minister, nun, or other spiritual profession. These individuals were not all New Agers. Only some prayed to a specific religious being or charismatic leader. They varied by age, gender, race, creed, culture, educational status, profession, and tax bracket. Only a few exercised daily, and they did not follow the same dietary regimen. They were of varying body types and fitness levels. They varied in their habits pertaining to alcohol, cigarette, television, and other media. Not all were heterosexual. Not all were sexually active. His interviewees had no external situation in common that appeared to have caused the measurable changes in their health status. Coincidence number one: an innate higher intelligence gives us life and can heal the body. The people he spoke with who experienced a spontaneous remission believed that a higher order or intelligence lived within him or her. Whether they called it their divine, spiritual, or subconscious mind, they accepted that an inner power was giving them life every moment and that it knew more than they knew, as humans could ever know. Furthermore, if they could just tap into this intelligence, they could direct it to start working for them. He's come to realize that there's nothing mystical about this greater mind. It's the same intelligence that organizes and regulates all the functions of the body. This power keeps our heart beating without interruption more than 100,000 times a day without ever stopping to think about it. That adds up to about more than 40 million heartbeats per year, nearly 3 billion pulsations over a lifetime of 70 to 80 years. All this happens automatically without care or cleaning, repair, or replacement. An elevated consciousness is evidencing a will that is much greater than our will. Likewise, we give no thought to what our heart is pumping. 2 gallons of blood per minute, well over 100 gallons per hour, through a system of vascular channels about 60,000 miles in length, or twice the circumference of the earth. Yet the circulatory system makes up only about 3% of our body mass. Every 20 to 60 seconds, each blood cell makes a complete circuit through the body, and every red blood cell makes anywhere between 75,000 and 250,000 round trips in its lifetime. By the way, if all the red blood cells in your bloodstream was lined up end to end, they would reach 31,000 miles into the heavens. In the second it takes you to inhale, you lose 3 million blood cells. In the next second, the same number will be replaced. How long would we live if we had to focus on making all this happen? Some greater, more expanded mind must be orchestrating all of this for us. Please stop reading for 1 second. Just now, some 100,000 chemical reactions took place in every single one of your cells. Now multiply 100,000 chemical reactions by the 70 to 100 trillion cells that make up your body. The answers has more zeros than more calculators can display. Yet, every second, the mind-boggling number of chemical reactions take place inside of you. Do you have to think to perform even one of these reactions? Many of us can't even balance our checkbooks or remember more than 7 items from our shopping list. So it's fortunate for us that some intelligence smarter than our conscious mind is running the show. In that same second, 10 million of your cells died. And in the next instant, about 10 million new cells took their place. The pancreas itself regenerates almost all its cells in one day. Yet we give not a moment's thought to the disposal of those dead cells or to all the necessary function that goes into mitosis, the process that gives rise to the production of new cells for tissue repair and growth. Recent calculation estimated that the communication between cells actually travel faster than the speed of light. At that moment, you're probably giving some thought to your body. Yet something other than your conscious mind is causing the secretion of enzymes and exact amounts to digest the food you consume into its component nutrients. Some mechanism of a higher order is filtering liters of blood through your kidneys every hour to make urine and eliminate waste. In 1 hour, the most advanced kidney dialysis machine only filters 15 to 20% of the body's waste from the blood. The superior mind precisely maintains the 66 functions of the liver, although most people would never guess that this organ performs so many tasks. The same intelligence can direct tiny proteins to read the sophisticated sequence of the DNA helix better than any current technology. That's some feat, considering that if we would unravel the DNA from all the cells of our body and stretch it out and it would reach to the sun and back 150 times. Somehow, our greater mind orchestrates tiny protein enzymes that constantly zip through the 3.2 billion nucleic acid sequences that are the genes in every cell, checking for mutation. Our inner version of Homeland Security knows how to fight off thousands, I think it's millions, of bacteria and viruses without our ever needing to realize that we even under attack. It even memorizes those invaders so that if they enter us again, the immune system is better prepared. Most marvelous of all, this life force knows how to start just from two cells, a sperm and an egg, and create our almost 100 trillion specialized cells. Having given us life, it then continually regenerates that life and regulates an incredible number of processes. We may not notice our higher mind at work, but the moment we die, the body starts to break down because its inner power has left. Like the people I interviewed, I've had to acknowledge that some intelligence is at work in us that far exceeds our conscious abilities. It animates our body every single moment, and its incredibly complex workings take place virtually behind our back. We're conscious beings, but typically we pay attention only to events that we think are important to us. Those 100,000 chemical reactions every second in our 100 trillion cells are a miraculous expression of the life force. Yet the only time they become significant to the conscious mind is when something goes wrong. This aspect of the self is objective and unconditional. If we are alive, this life force is expressing itself through us. We all share this innate order, independent of gender, age, and genetics. This intelligence transcends race, culture, social standing, economic status, and religious beliefs. It gives life to everyone, whether we think about it or not, whether we are awake or asleep, whether we're happy or sad. A deeper mind permits us to believe whatever we want, to have likes and dislikes, to be allowing or judgmental. This giver of life lends power to whatever we are being. It bestows on us the power to express life in whatever way we choose. The intelligence knows how to maintain order among all of the cells, tissues, organs, and systems of the body because it created the body from two individual cells. Again, the power that made the body is the power that maintains and heals the body. My subjects, his subjects, illnesses signified that to some extent they had gotten out of touch or distanced themselves from part of their connection with this higher order. Maybe their own thinking had somehow directed this intelligence towards illness and away from health. But they came to understand that if they tapped into this intelligence and used their thoughts to direct it, it would know how to heal their bodies for them. Their greater mind already knew how to take care of business if they could only make contact with it. The abilities of this innate intelligent subconscious mind or spiritual nature are far greater than any pill, therapy, or treatment, and it's only waiting for our permission to willfully act. Well, I give mine full permission, okay? Get these legs together, okay? I want to take a nap, wake up, and they just functioning better, okay? We're riding on the back of a giant and we're getting a free ride. I'm going to stop right there. This is page 42 I'm stopping at. And we're going to start back next Soulful Sunday at coincidence number 2. That was refreshing and rejuvenating and so on time. So on time. Um, and in alignment with all that's happening in my life right now. So remember, this is a dialogue. I know I've been told my voice is soothing, so some people just come to hear my voice. I don't even know if they speak the language or they could even articulate the words that's coming out of my mouth. But if you can, awesome. Leave some comments. Let's have a conversation about this. Would you even take the time to get this book on audio and listen to it if you're not a reader like me? But I love books. I love books. I love libraries. I love reading. I am really doing one of the things that I love publicly by even having this show called Soulful Sundays on my podcast network. So I am grateful to do one of the things that I love and to share it with the world. So thank you for tuning in to the SupaTea podcast show. Same bat place, same bat time every Sunday, 3 p.m. Unless I am feeling invigorated and I'm outside, like I was 2 Sundays ago to sing karaoke at a place that I was like, I gotta stay home for this. But anyway, all love. There was some good. It was good. It was a lot of good in the space. Valerie, I know it ain't easy, girl. And I met your daughter and I like your daughter. Your daughter's cool. And no, any commentary I make is love. It's love. It's love. It's love. It's love. And the reason why I'm probably so analytical is because I'm a business owner, you know? And so I know there's different businesses operate different ways. A bar is not going to operate the same way a cafe operates, although there are similarities, you know, um, but it ain't the same. So I get it, you know. Um, when people are tipsy, you got a little bit more room, you know. You got a little bit more room. So you can say you starting at 5 but don't start till 7 because motherfuckers are tipsy any motherfucker way, you know? They ain't looking at the goddamn clock. So it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. I had fun doing it. And yeah, I don't know when I'll be back. I have to get my business in order, okay? Because I want to be out and about, moving around, but also have the flexibility and the mobility in this body to do so. That was an interesting week, you know, where I'm just gonna say it because it's just this is what I perceived. I had connected energetically with somebody, and I was thinking about this before I started this podcast. Is that people talk about sexual energy and yada 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 blah blah blah, and all that is accurate. However, as um, electromagnetic beings, I'm giving off energy right now, you know, and everybody is always giving off energy. And when you have, like, just like those two cells came together and created something, sometimes when two different people are in each other's energetic field, it does something to both individuals. And that's what I believe I was experiencing for that time where I just, my energy just like, because nothing changed. I'm like, my diet didn't change, nothing changed. And I know my normal, I'm back to my normal. I'm back. I'm back to me, where just I walked the little hill. I walked these two little hills today, and I had to stop. I had to stop. I was like, okay, all right. And I want my normal to be different, but I have to do that for myself and cultivate that within myself and tune in and tap into my own divinity and allow it to happen like that. But it was fun experiencing the effects of coming and being around another person's auric field. Um, it was a fun experience. And it happens remotely too. It doesn't just happen physically, it happens remotely. Because after that experience, um, I experienced the same effect remotely. So it just makes me curious more about energy. But as I get to those points of actually studying, and going deeper into those things, I have my own healing also to do. So I'm grateful to be in that process, grateful for my mobility to be improving, grateful to have this show here. Thank you again for tuning in to the Super Tea Podcast Show. Catch me next Sunday. And grab my ebook, por favor. Get on this matcha. And you know what? I'm going to stop telling people to get on the matcha. And I'm not. I'm going to get me some matcha. I'm getting me some matcha. Me and matcha about to not just be business buddies, but get back to personally making my own matcha and only indulging sometimes with the other caffeinated beverage. Thank you again for tuning in. Take care. Have a great week.